After you mount in as many chambers as you'll be using for that day, you can then turn on heat. As soon as you turn on heat, you should make sure that your chambers are bubbling with your gas mixture. It is a good idea to give a washout as soon as you are ready to start your experiment. You should then give your vessels 20 minutes to reach the correct temperature before using the normalization. In order to utilize the 630 MA's automated normalization, you will need to do setup in the 630's menus. Go to Normalization Setup and select the chamber that you will be using. We will keep a normalization time of 60 seconds. This will average the reading over 60 seconds. This will also be where you are setting your wire or your pin diameter. We will be using 40 micron wire. We'll go to Next menu. Now this will be information dependent on your vessel specifically. The normalization pressure for the mouse mesenteric artery is 13.3 kilopascals. We will be using a normalization factor of 1.0, and we will be changing the eyepiece calibration to 1. We will do the same thing for the second channel, which also has a mouse mesenteric artery loaded. When you are ready to begin your normalization, you will first need to zero the channel that you will be normalizing. Then go into the Settings menu and Mounting Artery. Select the channel you will be normalizing, and you will need to move the jaws together and then press Reset. You can now go to the artery parameters, and this is where you will enter information about your specific vessel that day. Our first eyepiece endpoint will be 0. Our second point will be the length of our tissue. In this case, it was 1.5. We are going to use a normalization force of 1.0. The steps in the automated normalization will depend on your normalization force. A smaller normalization force will result in more steps. A higher force will result in fewer steps. We are now ready to begin the automated normalization on channel 1. Press Start Normalization. It will first take a baseline reading after 60 seconds, and then it will proceed with its next step. You will notice that the force went up by 1.0 millinewtons, and once it hit that point, it started to take a new reading. The force will drop, which is expected. That is why it will take many steps to complete the normalization. Once the force reaches the calculated target pressure line, the normalization will complete, and it will automatically set your tissue to the correct normalized force. Once the normalization completes, you will see a screen with various parameters about that particular channel's normalization. You can exit out of this, and now we will zero channel 2, and we will go into the mounting artery setup for channel 2. We will press together, and now reset. We can go into artery parameter and set the length of this tissue. In this case, this vessel was 1.8. We will again be using a normalization force of 1.0. And we can start the normalization. Channel 2 has now reached its target pressure, and the normalization has completed. So we can exit out of this, back to our home screen, and we will do one more washout, wait for 20 minutes, and then we will start our wake-up protocol.